Before you die, you need to hear this: everything you think you know about life might be wrong. This isn't some sugar-coated self-help advice, it's raw, unfiltered truth. Brace yourself for a shift in perspective, because most of what we've been taught about happiness, success, and love is nothing more than an illusion. We've been told that happiness is the ultimate goal, that success is measured by wealth and status, and that love will complete us. But look around, people are more anxious, disconnected, and unfulfilled than ever before. We have more wealth, more technology, and more communication tools, yet true meaning is harder to find. This isn't what life is supposed to be. It's time to face the uncomfortable truth: these illusions are keeping us from living a life of purpose. It's never too late to change, to challenge everything you've been taught, and to rediscover what really matters. So, let's dive into these uncomfortable truths. They may challenge you, but they'll also lead you to a deeper, more meaningful life. It's time to embrace the wisdom that can guide you towards a truly fulfilling future. Lesson 1. Your comfort zone is your coffin. We've all heard the saying, live life to the fullest, but too often, we confuse living with simply being comfortable. We've been told that comfort is the ultimate goal, that life should be about ease, free from stress or challenge. But here's the hard truth: your comfort zone is your coffin. It's where your dreams go to die and where your potential is buried alive. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you settled for something less than what you truly wanted because it felt safe? How many times have you stayed in a job that didn't inspire you, just because it was familiar? Or stayed in relationships that were toxic but comfortable, simply because it was easier than facing the unknown? Comfort is seductive. It whispers in your ear, telling you to play it safe, to avoid risk, and to enjoy the rewards of a stress-free life. But here's what it doesn't tell you: comfort kills growth. In America, we're taught that success comes from hard work and the pursuit of more, but often, we mistake comfort for success. The truth is, comfort is the enemy of progress. If you never step out of your comfort zone, you'll never grow. Life's most significant changes, those that shape you into who you're meant to be, happen when you face challenges, step into the unknown, and embrace discomfort. You see, growth doesn't happen when everything is easy. It happens when you push yourself, when you risk failure, when you do things that scare you. Let's look at the stories of people we admire: athletes, entrepreneurs, and adventurers. Do you think they reached the heights they did by staying in their comfort zones? Absolutely not. They risked failure, faced rejection, and endured countless hardships. But each setback taught them resilience. Each failure was a stepping stone toward success. You, too, can experience this growth. Start small. Take a cold shower. Speak up in meetings. Challenge yourself to try something new every day. Don't wait for life to hand you growth on a silver platter. Actively seek out opportunities to step outside your comfort zone. For example, many people in their 50s or 60s might feel like their best years are behind them. But I promise you, it's never too late to embrace discomfort. In fact, some of the most fulfilling and exciting moments in life come after we step outside the box we've built around ourselves. Start by trying a new hobby, traveling to a place you've never been, or even reconnecting with old friends you haven't spoken to in years. The key is to do something that makes you feel a little bit uneasy, because that's where real growth begins. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but it's the slow poison that keeps you from reaching your full potential. So, break free. Step out of that comfort zone, and start living the life you were meant to live. Your true self is waiting just outside the door of comfort. Lesson 2. Expectation is the root of misery. We all know that feeling of disappointment when life doesn't go the way we expect. Whether it's a job that didn't turn out the way we hoped, a relationship that didn't meet our expectations, or just life not unfolding as we envisioned, it's a common experience. But here's the truth: expectation is often the root of our misery. In American culture, we're taught to aim high, to set ambitious goals, and to believe that if we work hard enough, everything will fall into place. We're encouraged to have expectations, not just for ourselves, but for others as well. We expect our children to be successful, our friends to always support us, and our careers to follow a specific path. But when these expectations aren't met, we feel let down, frustrated, and sometimes even angry. Think back to a time when you were truly disappointed. Chances are, it stemmed from unmet expectations. Maybe you expected a promotion that never came, or perhaps you thought your children would behave in a certain way. The gap between our expectations and reality is where misery often lives. We create this gap by clinging to ideas of how things should be, but life doesn't always follow our plans. As we grow older, this can become even more challenging. We've spent decades building expectations based on experience and society's standards, and it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that things should always turn out a certain way. But holding on to rigid expectations only sets us up for disappointment. The reality is, life is unpredictable, and when we constantly expect things to go according to plan, we set ourselves up for stress and dissatisfaction. So, how do we break this cycle? The first step is to lower our expectations, not in the sense of giving up on our dreams, but in accepting that life doesn't always work out the way we want. By lowering our expectations, we open ourselves to accepting life as it is, rather than constantly chasing after what we thought it should be. This doesn't mean settling for less, but rather being open to what's in front of us, embracing the present rather than fixating on the future. For example, in your 50s and beyond, you might feel like things haven't turned out the way you expected. Maybe your career didn't take the path you imagined, or your relationships aren't as fulfilling as you hoped. But by letting go of those expectations, you can start to appreciate the journey. The reality is that life can still be beautiful, even when it doesn't meet all of our expectations. By lowering your expectations, you can find peace with what is, rather than always yearning for what could have been. You'll be able to enjoy the present moment and discover new possibilities, all while letting go of the unnecessary weight of unrealistic expectations. Life is messy, unpredictable, and sometimes hard, but it's also full of beauty when we stop trying to force it to fit a mold. Lesson 3. Friends are not forever. As we grow older, we often think of friendship as something that should last forever. We are taught from an early age that true friends are the ones who stick with us through thick and thin. But here's an uncomfortable truth: friends, like everything else in life, are not forever. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially as we get older. We look back on childhood friendships, high school buddies, and even college friends, and we often assume these relationships should last a lifetime. But the reality is that as time goes on, people change. Circumstances shift. People grow in different directions, and sometimes those friendships that once meant so much no longer fit into our lives. Think about your own life. How many of your childhood friends are still close to you? How many of the people you shared late-night talks with are still in your circle today? As life progresses, priorities change. Some friends may move away, others may go down different paths, and some relationships simply fade away. It's not a failure or a tragedy, but a natural part of life. As we age, we start to realize that friendships, like everything else, have their time. And that's okay. It's important to cherish the connections you have, but it's equally important to understand that not all friendships are meant to last forever. In fact, some of the most meaningful friendships are the ones that serve their purpose in a specific chapter of your life, and it's okay to let them go when that chapter ends. I remember a close friendship I had in college. We were inseparable at the time, sharing our dreams, fears, and countless hours of laughter. But as life went on, our paths diverged. He moved to another city, got married, and our lives became very different. At first, I felt a deep sense of loss, as if a part of me was missing. But over time, I realized that our friendship had fulfilled its role in my life. It was beautiful while it lasted, but it didn't need to last forever to be meaningful. So, how do we handle the impermanence of friendships? First, start by appreciating the relationships you have now. Cherish the moments spent with friends, the conversations, and the shared experiences. Understand that it's natural for friendships to evolve and change. When a friendship fades, don't see it as a failure. Instead, recognize it as a chapter that has ended, making room for new connections and experiences. As we grow older, we realize that it's better to have a few deep, meaningful relationships than to stretch ourselves thin trying to maintain many superficial ones. Most importantly, be your own best friend. Cultivate a relationship with yourself, because you are the only constant in your life. Friends are not forever, and that's okay. Life is a series of comings and goings, and each person you meet teaches you something valuable. Embrace the impermanence of friendships and let life unfold naturally. Lesson 4. Sacrifice is essential. In a world where we're often told to prioritize comfort and convenience, the idea of sacrifice can seem outdated or even unnecessary. However, here's a hard truth: nothing worth having comes without sacrifice. If you want to achieve something meaningful in life, you must be willing to give up something valuable in order to make room for something greater. Sacrifice isn't just about giving up your time or material possessions, it's about making tough choices and investing in the future. It's about recognizing that achieving your goals requires focus, effort, and sometimes, the willingness to let go of short-term comforts for long-term rewards. Think about your own life. When you look back at the most significant achievements or milestones you've reached, did they come easily? Chances are, the things that matter most in your life, the accomplishments, the relationships, the experiences, came with a cost. Maybe it was sacrificing your free time to build a career or choosing to stay home and study rather than going out with friends. In our younger years, we may not always recognize the importance of sacrifice, but as we grow older, we realize it is the price of success and fulfillment. In your 50s and beyond, you may feel that the best years of your life are behind you. But that doesn't mean that sacrifice is no longer relevant. Whether you're looking to pursue a new passion, start a business, or improve your health, it will require sacrifices, whether it's giving up time spent watching TV, cutting back on indulgent foods, or investing money in education or training. I remember a time in my life when I had a stable job with a good salary and a comfortable life. But deep down, I knew I wasn't truly fulfilled. I wanted to pursue my passion for writing, but that meant sacrificing the security of my job and stepping into the unknown. I quit without a plan, without certainty. It was one of the hardest decisions I ever made. I sacrificed financial stability, social status, and the predictable future that most people crave. But that sacrifice led me to a life filled with passion and purpose, something I couldn't have imagined without taking that leap. If you want to make the most of your life, start by identifying what truly matters to you. Is it your health, your family, or your career? Once you know what you value, ask yourself what you're willing to sacrifice to achieve it. Sacrifice isn't about depriving yourself, it's about prioritizing what's most important. It's about delaying immediate gratification in favor of long-term rewards. In the end, The pain of sacrifice is temporary, but the rewards are lasting. Embrace sacrifice as a powerful tool for growth. It's the key to living a life of purpose, fulfillment, and success. Lesson 5. Stop chasing love. For many of us, love is one of life's most cherished goals. We're often told that love is what completes us, that finding the right partner will bring happiness and fulfillment. In American culture, there's an overwhelming belief that we must actively search for love, that it's something we need to find or chase. But here's the truth: stop chasing love. Love is not something that can be found through force or desperation. The more we chase it, the more elusive it becomes. In our younger years, we may be caught up in the idea that we need to be in a relationship to feel whole. We go on countless dates, try to fit into someone else's expectations, and compromise our own values, all in the name of finding love. But when we do this, we often end up disappointed, feeling unfulfilled, or settling for relationships that aren't healthy or genuine. The truth is, love comes when you least expect it. It isn't something you can find by searching tirelessly for it. Real love happens when you are busy living your best life, focusing on your own growth, happiness, and purpose. When you invest in yourself, your passions, your health, your career, love has a way of finding you naturally. You become the best version of yourself, and that is when you attract the right kind of people into your life. For those of you in your 50s and beyond, you may have experienced the highs and lows of love and relationships. You may have gone through the pain of divorce or seen loved ones pass away. You might have thought that you needed to find another partner to feel complete. But here's the key: you are already complete. You don't need someone else to define your worth or your happiness. I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time in my life when I thought I had to find love to feel validated. I went on dates, tried to meet the perfect person, and even changed aspects of myself to fit into someone else's mold. But it wasn't until I stopped chasing love that I found a relationship that truly mattered. When I shifted my focus from searching for love to focusing on personal growth and happiness, love came into my life naturally. So, how do you stop chasing love? Start by loving yourself. Invest time in your own passions and goals. Be the best version of yourself, healthy, happy, and confident. Surround yourself with people who encourage you, who bring out the best in you, and let relationships develop organically. When you're content with your own life, the right person will find you. Love is not a checklist or a destination. It's a connection that grows over time, often when you least expect it. So stop chasing it. Let love find you when you're busy living your life with purpose. Remember, the more you chase love, the more it eludes you. Instead, focus on becoming the best version of yourself, and love will naturally follow. Lesson 6. The majority is often wrong. Throughout life, we are constantly influenced by the opinions of others, often feeling pressure to conform to the majority. In American society, we're taught to value the collective voice, to follow the crowd, and to assume that if most people believe something, it must be true. However, here's a critical lesson: the majority is often wrong. Just because most people believe something doesn't mean it's the truth. Think back to pivotal moments in history when the majority was clearly wrong. At one point, most people believed the earth was flat. Not too long ago, many supported practices like slavery, segregation, and witch hunts. In each of these instances, popular opinion was not only misguided but harmful. And yet, at the time, those who questioned the norm were often labeled as rebels, difficult, or even crazy. It's crucial to understand that being in the minority can often be a sign of clarity, truth, and progress. As we get older, we may feel more comfortable in our beliefs and less inclined to challenge the status quo. It's easy to go along with what others say or believe, especially when it seems like everyone around us is in agreement. But true wisdom comes from questioning everything, from looking beyond popular opinions, and thinking critically for ourselves. The world is full of misinformation, and it's easy to fall into the trap of believing something simply because it's widely accepted. Take the example of societal expectations. For many of us, the pressure to achieve success in traditional ways, through a high-paying job, big house, and societal recognition, has been ingrained in us since childhood. However, as we age, we realize that these markers of success don't necessarily lead to happiness or fulfillment. In fact, the pursuit of these things can sometimes make us feel empty or disconnected. It's only when we question these norms that we can begin to define success for ourselves and live a life that aligns with our true values. For those of you in your 50s and beyond, this lesson may resonate even more deeply. By now, you've likely encountered many different opinions, ideologies, and beliefs, some of which have shifted over time. Perhaps you've come to understand that much of what society says is the right way is not always the best way. The beauty of aging is the ability to trust your own judgment, to seek out diverse perspectives, and to challenge ideas that no longer serve you. In your journey, don't be afraid to question popular opinions, even when they come from people you respect or love. Seek out different viewpoints, educate yourself from diverse sources, and engage in critical thinking. Remember, the majority can be wrong, and it's often those who stand apart from the crowd who bring about true change. Embrace your individuality, trust your instincts, and think for yourself. The path to wisdom and fulfillment is often found when we dare to swim against the current. Lesson 7. Patience is power. In a world where instant gratification is the norm, patience has become a rare but essential virtue. We live in an age where everything is expected to happen fast. From fast food to instant streaming, we've been conditioned to want everything right now. But here's the reality: patience is power. True strength lies not in rushing through life, but in the ability to wait, persist, and trust the process. Think about the things that truly matter in life. Whether it's a successful career, a meaningful relationship, or personal growth, none of these things happen overnight. They require time, effort, and a willingness to endure. Take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Have the most important things in your life come easily, or have they been the result of years of hard work and persistence? For most of us, the most valuable achievements were not immediate. They took time to build, often with setbacks along the way. In American culture, we often praise those who achieve fast success, young entrepreneurs who build multi-million-dollar companies in a few years, athletes who break records in their 20s. But the reality is that true, lasting success is built on a foundation of patience. It's about trusting the process, enduring through challenges, and recognizing that meaningful progress often takes time. For example, in your 50s and beyond, you may have encountered times in your life when things didn't go as planned. Perhaps you didn't achieve a career milestone when you thought you would, or maybe you've faced personal challenges that tested your patience. Yet, as you look back, you'll realize that many of the lessons you've learned, the strength you've gained, and the wisdom you now carry came from enduring through difficult times. I've personally learned the power of patience through my own journey. There was a time when I wanted everything to happen quickly: career success, personal goals, and happiness. But every time I rushed, I stumbled. It wasn't until I embraced patience that I began to see true progress. I learned to trust the process, to understand that growth takes time, and that setbacks are a natural part of the journey. Patience doesn't mean sitting back and waiting idly. It means actively working toward your goals while being kind to yourself and understanding that the journey may take longer than expected. It means recognizing that every small step, every challenge, and every failure is part of a greater process of growth. For those of you in your 50s or older, this lesson is especially important. It's never too late to pursue new goals, take on challenges, or reinvent yourself. But it's essential to remember that true success, whether in your personal life or career, takes time. By practicing patience, you'll find that you're able to navigate life's ups and downs with greater strength, clarity, and resilience. In a world obsessed with instant results, patience becomes a superpower. It allows you to stay focused, endure challenges, and ultimately achieve your dreams in a more fulfilling and meaningful way. Embrace patience, and you'll unlock the true power to shape your destiny. Conclusion. Throughout these lessons, we've explored some of the hardest truths about life, truths that challenge everything we've been taught and force us to rethink our approach to happiness, success, and fulfillment. These lessons are not meant to make you uncomfortable for the sake of discomfort. They are meant to open your eyes to a deeper, more meaningful way of living. Life is not about staying comfortable or chasing after illusions of perfection. It's about embracing discomfort, questioning what you've been told, and accepting the impermanence of friendships, love, and even your own expectations. It's about understanding that sacrifice is essential, patience is power, and sometimes, the majority can be wrong. These truths will not always be easy to accept, but they are necessary for growth. For those of you in your 50s and beyond, this is the time to live with purpose. It's never too late to let go of false beliefs and take steps toward a more fulfilling life. Embrace discomfort, lower your expectations, and challenge yourself to grow. Accept that not everything will go as planned, but that doesn't mean you won't find joy and meaning in the journey. You are not alone in this process. Everyone, no matter their age, faces these same struggles and lessons. By applying these truths, you can shape your life in a way that reflects your true values and leads to greater contentment. Remember, life is fleeting, but it's also full of incredible potential. Make the most of the time you have, live intentionally, and continue seeking wisdom. This is your life, make it extraordinary.